Okay, so today's session, little class, mini class, is on one-to-ones. Quick question, who does one-to-ones? Just put your hand up. Right? Okay, so most of us, as I can see, we do one-to-ones. Let's have a think, right? We come out networking because we want work. We do our elevator pitch because we want work. We have the one-to-ones because we want work. We do presentations because we want work. We find out what the other person does. They find out what we do. But
come on into the hot seat, my
who's winning now, Jason? Oh my God. Right. So we're doing all this work because we want work, right? But there's something that's not quite working somewhere in the middle. Maybe it's something to do with the one-to-ones. So let's pull it apart a little bit and see if there's something that needs to be changed up a little bit. Now, I can see that, Aditya, you've got your hand up. Is it that you were just doing that before, or you have a question?
I did it before.
Oh, okay, no problem. All right. So I believe there's two sorts of one-to-ones. Has anyone been to a BNI meeting before or been part of BNI? Right. So in BNI, they teach you how to do a gains report, right? So gains stands for a one-to-one, and gains stands for goals, achievements, interests, networks, and skills. And the idea behind finding the information about that, about your fellow networker, is that it helps build the relationship between you and the person that you're networking with. So the person in your network, right? And this is great. I learned this like 10 years ago, right? So this is great. But over the course of the last 10 years, right? And because we've all heard this, who's heard it's easier to sell if you know, like, and trust the other person, or if they know, like, and trust you, right? So it always is going down that relationship side of building trust, building relationship, and doing that, right? So in the last 10 years, while the internet has been out and very prevalent and you can buy things on the internet, it's really been in the last 10 years that, well, less than 10 years now, that we use Google so much. Consumers use Google so much to do all of their research that now the relationship building side isn't as helpful as it used to be. And so I have a different sort of one-to-one that I call, it's a business one-to-one, where we get straight to the point. What are we here to find out about anyway, right? And I have 3 questions. When I have a one-to-one with someone, I have 3 questions that I only really want to know about them, because it's definitely the 3 things that I want to pass off about me, right? And so in the 3 questions are these: what do you sell? How much does it cost? And who buys it? So you just think of those. What do you sell? How much does it cost? And who buys it? Have a think about that. If you were to deliver that inside of a one-to-one, what you sell, how much it costs, and who buys it, how many people would actually understand what you did on the other side? Right? And it's the same if you ask those 3 questions of somebody else. The one-to-one becomes very functional because you've just found out what they sell, how much it costs, and who buys it, which ultimately is exactly the information that we need to pass on to other people if we want to find them a referral. Let's say, who's a website person? Put your hand up if you do websites. Oh, there you go. Look, I can see Dre, Fred. Yeah, right. You guys do websites. Yep. Aditya. Yep. Aditya does websites as well. Let's say my sister was just starting up a business, right? And she's saying, I think I need a website. I can say this. Oh, I know 3 website guys. They can help you. What's the first question that she's going to ask? How much does it cost? That's exactly right, Mark. How much is it going to cost? If I can't answer that for her, then she's not going to pay any attention to the referral that I'm trying to get, right? And it's interesting because in today's world, like, everyone is so much like, don't say the price, because now if there's a sliding scale, it's going to start at, there is the opportunity to say the price, and it's going to start somewhere, right? But if I can't pass on an approximate, say, starting price for my sister, and if I said this to her, she said, how much does it cost? And I said, well, I don't really know, but see, this is what I know that they do. She goes, what does it matter? If I don't know how much it costs, I'm really not interested in hearing the rest of your story. And so if we all come out networking because we're after referrals and we'd like more work, part of getting more work is us being able to collect our own work. But from those referrals, if we can't pass on what someone else needs to hear, of course, then we can't find the referrals either. So if you think about those 3 questions, what do you sell, how much does it cost, and who buys it? And the truth is what you sell isn't a secret. how much it costs, or the starting price isn't a secret. People can find it if they ring up and ask, right? And who buys it, that's not going to be a secret. So if you think of those three things, right? That now becomes very functional inside your one-to-one. And this is why I call it a business one-to-one. But notice what I'm not looking for here is rapport building, right? I do this thing at the beginning of everything. When I go to any networking events, someone said it to me years ago. I didn't have a name for it, but I do now. And it's called assumed rapport. And that's really what this is what I'm talking about today, is assumed rapport. If we all network together and we're at Be Connected World, then we can assume that we're all friends. If somebody calls one of us up and says, hey, can I have a one-to-one with you, find out more about you, find out more about me, then we assume that the other person is friendly and we say yes. Really, do we come across someone these days where we think, God, I really don't want to have a one-to-one with them? But if that was to happen, we would do our best not to take that appointment, right? So if we don't really have rapport with the other person, we won't take that appointment. But if somebody has said yes to an appointment that you've asked for, or you've said yes to an appointment that they've asked for, then you can assume that you're already friends. If you network not just in this group, but in other groups, and it could be the first time in another group, and you go into it, you can assume that you're friends with the person in the other group. The reason you can assume it is because you're already networkers. You already have a general idea of how the system is supposed to work, and you've just shown up in the same group together. So of course you're friends. Why would you not be, right? So when you have a one-to-one, so have a think about this. When you have a one-to-one, don't worry about as much about that, build that connection and that relationship. Here's what's really interesting you'll find. If you go into a one-to-one and say, have you got any questions that you wanted to ask me? Because I've got some that I want to ask you. And you ask those three questions. I want to know what you sell, how much it costs, and who buys it. In the process of them telling you those three answers, interestingly, you will be building rapport with them because they'll be so excited that they actually get to talk to you about work. Who's had the one-to-ones where it's gone for, maybe an hour or longer, and at the end of it, you can say, wow, they were a really great person. I don't know how much work we talked about, right? Who can say that, right? Yeah, because no structure and it's gone off track, right? So I want you to have a think about it. I've got, make sure that you've all got your email addresses into the chat. And I have a structure for a business one-to-one. And I'm going to email it all out to you so you can follow it. And then you can ask questions to see how that goes. I can't paste it into the chat because it's too long. And so it doesn't really work that way. But I will email it out to everybody. But I just thought, I don't know how long do I have to teach this, and does anyone have any questions? All right, Jason, you've got your hand up.
Okay, so yeah, I would love you to email it out to everybody because I do want people connecting. If you have it on a PDF, I would be happy to upload it into the free resources section of Be Connected World. So if you do have it as a PDF, send it through, and we'll make sure it's up there as well for future classes. Because if people are we're gonna put this video up on YouTube as well, so at least they'll be able to access it that way as well.
Perfect, excellent. The other side, and I'm going to ask Mark and Phil. The other side is, if you have a think about when you're networking, right? Everything we do in networking is a mirror of something that's in our business, right? Handing out your business card is you practicing actually saying who you are and giving out your contact details. The one-to-one is a practice to have a business or a sales conversation with someone. Elevator pitch is a practice of you saying what it is that you do. Turning up is a practice of turning up to work. So everything is a mirror of something. So for the assumed rapport, it is practice for when somebody comes to you and asks you some business questions that you already assume that you're friends. Here's a really ironic side of rapport and rapport building. If somebody, a consumer, has done some Googling and come and ask you some questions, whether they've done Googling at networking or however they've found you, if they have found you in some way and they call you up, let's say they go to Alan, all right, you do the face profiling. Alan, you do face profiling, don't you?
That's right.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just wondering, how much does that cost? Now, me, the consumer, has already built rapport with Alan because I've found him. So to me, in my mind, the consumer, I'm friends with him. That's why I picked him out of the crowd. If as a salesman, you decide to do the rapport building, which is, oh, well, let me ask you some more questions and find out where you're up to, and you do the rapport building side, you will actually break rapport with the consumer because they thought that you were already friends. And they're not looking to catch you up to speed. They're looking to just move forward from where they're at. And so in this world of building rapport, and practicing that all the time, we're actually starting to break rapport with the person who's picked us out of the crowd. And what they're after is someone to say, oh, yes, I'm up with you, and sure, I can help with that. Let's start a conversation there, right? So there's something for you to think about and for us to look into more over the coming weeks. Mark, you've got your hand up.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Misty. It's given me some things to think about too. What I've found has really worked well for me in one-to-ones over the time that I've been self-employed is that, for the want of a better word, I've already stalked the other person through all their socials. Mm-hmm. So I've got an idea of are they involved with some sort of charity? Are they, a king at this, a king at that? And to be honest with you, 9 times out of 10 when I mention, hey, Misty, I love that you volunteered for Surf Lifesaving, you've got the meeting out of your hands straight away.
Exactly, right? They already assume that you're friends, right?
Yeah. That
you're friends and that you've already gone that bit forward because you've done the rapport building on your side. And why would you not be friends? They already know something about you.
That's also good too, because you also get extra credit because you've researched them, you've spent some time in trying to get to know them before you've met them.
Yeah, and even though they don't really know too much about you, it's like, wow, they know something, I better try and keep up, right? So better to keep up with the person that's already gone looking than try to build the rapport because they think it's there already. Phil, you've got your hand up. Thank you, Mark.
I guess it's more comments. And thank you, Misty, for reminding me about the importance of one-to-ones because, as you mentioned, one-to-ones can get off track and we end up talking about fishing or the cruise we went on or something like that. And then you have to bring it back to the business side of things and say, well, what can I do for you? How can we help each other? And all that kind of thing. But it takes practice. I mean, when I first started doing one-to-ones, so I was talking to people besides Jay, like Jay and I have always talked kind of business side of things. And, but I was talking to people and we're just talking about family and holidays and things like that. And we didn't really learn much about each other's business. So, but after some practice, you know how to approach it, how to go in there, and what questions to ask, and what to offer. What to offer people. Yeah.
So having structure becomes very important. Who's been to the one-to-ones where you've got to the end and you're going, we should do this again. This is great. We should do this again. Mm. And then the suggestion has been there and you'll leave going, yeah. And you get off the phone going, okay, I'm really not sure where that's going to head. I'm not sure what that's going to be about, although the conversation was nice, but actually, I don't know how much work I got done. So having a very structure inside your one-to-one to keep it on point, it is work related to keep it on point. If you start with a business one-to-one, you can always have that extra relationship one later down the track, but at least you both functionally know what each other does and messages can be passed out to the wider community.
Thank you. That's been brilliant. Thanks, Misty. That was really great.
Thanks.
Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'll just stop the recording at that point. And where are we now? Stop that.